I hope everybody enjoyed their mini break. Okay, a couple things, just so you know. Most of them you've already been told, but a week from Thursday will be the job fair here. All right? Whatever day that is. I think that's the 4th or something like that. Yeah, the 4th. That's the job fair, and it usually is 9 to 12. All right? They always recommend you get there as early as you can. And I will tell you that since it's typically really set up for second-year people, there's very few second-year people there early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So we go down there, like I'll take my class down there, etc. But if you really want to get a chance to talk to people, I'd say that you try to get there as early as you can. That's the first thing. And then the week after that, which is the 11th, we're off because it's Veterans Day. Probably already realized that, but just in case you did not, okay? All right. So we're going to move into React starting today, and the way I plan on doing this is talk a couple hours, give you a couple hours of lab. Talk a couple hours, give you a couple hours of lab. We're going to do that basically, I think at least, all week. All right? So just so you know, you don't have to go out there, but you can. All right? There, just reactjs.org is the website for React. All right? So that's it. Okay? And if you do go out there, this is what you see. All right? Now, as you can see, it's broken up into two different areas. There's a Get Started, and there's a Take the Tutorial. All right? I thought of having us do the Take the Tutorial. It's not bad at all. You build, they give you basically a board for tic-tac-toe, and then you build tic-tac-toe. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the program. I was really hard-pressed to see where you learn a lot from going through this. Now, that said, you want to go through it on your own, you know, whatever, but I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's the greatest thing in the world. The Get Started has got all sorts of regular documentation in it. All right, you can work your way down there. Literally, if you print it all out, how do I know that? Because I did. There's about 80 pages of documentation on just about everything that you can think of. All right, and we're going to do this in a way, it's going to almost seem ass backwards. And what I mean is, right now, together, we're going to build a React project. All right? It's not going to do a darn thing except the React logo is going to come up on the screen and spin, and it's going to say, like, hello from React. That's it. But I just want to be able to quickly go through with you the different components that are in there. All right? Now, we're going to do this a little bit differently, because in the past, you know, if I said don't do this, but in the past, if I said, hey, we're going to make we're going to do a Node.js app right now, and we're going to call it Hello React. You know, you'd come in here, you'd create a folder, and you'd say like Hello React, and then you'd come in there, you know, and you'd open this up, and you'd right mouse click, and you'd go into your git bash here, and you'd start doing all that good stuff that we always do. All right? Well, we're going to do that a little bit differently. So what I would like you to do, all right, in fact, you don't even really have to create the folder, just so you know. All right, just to prove that to you, we're going to make this, and some of the stuff in this language, it's, for lack of better words, it's a little bit, good golly, it's a little bit quirky, and what I mean by that is, sometimes when you do certain things, the caseness will matter. Sometimes the caseness will not matter. All right? So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm just in my empty area on the desktop. I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to choose Git Bash here. All right? Now, we're going to use something that's not NPM. This is going to sound weird, but it is NPM, but it's not. We're going to use something called npx. So I want you to type in npx create-react-app, and we're just going to call it Hello React. Now before you hit enter, if you already did, it's okay. But I want to explain everything that's going on here, okay? npx is like npm in that it's a package manager, but when we use npm, the one we've been using, You know, it's got that node modules thing, and it brings in Express, and it brings in everything, all that stuff that we talked about before. But what we want to do is we literally just want to run this create React app. So if that confused you, what I want to show you is this. You don't have to go out here, please. But I'm going to just go out just so you see this. If I go out to npmjs.com and I type in here create React app, you'll notice there is one, and that's the one that we're going to use. So we could go in and do npm create React app, but there really is no reason to do that. We just want to run the command that will create a React app for us. So where npm is basically a node package manager, npx is a node package runner. It just executes a command and it's done, for lack of better words. So this says we want to run npx. The command we want to run is create React app. And the project we want to create is called Hello React. When you create these projects, make everything lowercase, and rather than running things together, use a hyphen. Why? Because that's the convention to do it that way. Now, I'm going to hit enter in just a minute, but just so you know, this can take, and again, your machine speeds are different than mine typically, but this can take anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. All right? But what I want you to notice is, if, you know, before I do this, let me grab a couple of these things that are over here. And I'm just going to get them out of the way. That's all I want to do. Probably going to get messages that I can't move certain things, but that's okay. All right, that's fine. Skip that. All right. Yeah, I don't even know what the hell that is, but that's fine. All right. What should happen if we did this correctly is sooner or later, and hopefully sooner, it's going to create a folder over here that's called hello-react, and it's going to have a bunch of stuff in it. So what I want to do is I want to go through all the different stuff that's in there with you. All right, as soon as that gets done. Now, I went through, in the last week, I've gone through multiple screencasts, webinars, all sorts of stuff. So I'm not going to be bold enough to say, hey, the way I'm going to teach you is the best way, but it's the way I decided to teach this to you. All right? So hopefully, like I said, this will finish up quickly. And it really shouldn't matter. So I'm just going to come in here and hit enter. And you're going to notice it's going to sit and whip around and do some things. But unlike what we did before, where it did something like this and then it pretty much was done, it won't be. There's my Hello React right there. It's already created that. All right? But like I said, this can take up to a couple of minutes or so to do. You'll notice if you look up on the screen here, it says installing React, React DOM, and React scripts with CRA template. Not even sure what the CRA is, but it does basically set up a template for us. And it downloads the stuff that we, at least supposedly, will need for what we're doing. Now, the reason that I said that this is a little ass backwards is we're going to do this, we're going to talk about it, but then we're going to start creating a project right away. And when we start creating the project right away, we're not going to do it like this. But the reason I'm showing it to you like this is the standard way of doing it. I found a thing online that we're going to follow, and I think it's easier for the first one of these that you create. If you say, I don't know what you mean, well, that's what the rest of the period here, where I lecture, that's what it's going to be about. All right? Now, you can see it's bringing in some stuff. Notice, initialize the Git repository. It already made a Git repo for us. So we don't even have to do that. See this? All right. So, and again, doing more stuff. when it gets done, I think the last thing it says in here is something like happy hacking or something like that before you get started.
I got an error. I could access Dash from the desktop.
Oh, okay, then it won't hurt anything. Just go in and make the folder.
Okay.
And then right mouse click, but instead of putting in that command, do the npx, but instead of putting in hello-react, just put in dot, which means use the current directory.
Okay.
All right, so you can see that this is finished. What I want to show you, and it's fine, we're not in any hurry here. If you noticed, it's got a bunch of things here. It says npm start, npm run build, npm test, npm run and eject, etc. The one that we're going to care about, and we're going to run in just a moment, is npm start. All right, a couple things about this. Don't worry anymore. Don't worry about what port number it is. This always runs on port 3000. That's just it. That's the port React takes. So there's nothing special that we have to do in order to be able to do that. All right? To my knowledge, I don't know if there's even a node mon you can use with this. You don't have to. You'll see as soon as you make a change, it's immediately reflected on the system. I mean, literally immediately. As soon as you save, boom, your changes are saved and they're updated. Now, it looks like you're still getting it.
Did I type that in correctly, though?
Now you type that in incorrectly.
Okay.
Now, right mouse click on there right now. I mean, close this. All right, double click on that. And right mouse click. Now you get in there and do your, is it even showing your git bash?
No, I'm going to do that. I did that from here.
Oh, okay, never seen that before, but okay. All right, then do your npx space creates hyphen react hyphen app space dot. Hit enter. I've never seen that error before. It says
okay.
Operation not permitted. We'll get to it. I mean,
later.
yeah, I'm not sure what the problem
Okay,
is. Like
okay.
I said, I just have
Just
never
wanted to
seen
make
that. All right. So for the rest of us, what I'd like you to do, please, is right in here. Have yours come back yet? Yours come back? Okay. We can clear the screen, and let's do a CD to hello-react. All right? Now, you'll notice, because we're going to bring this up in just a minute in code, but you'll notice if I do this, you don't have to run this command. But if I run ls, that says list everything that's in here. You don't have to do this. But notice, there's stuff in there already. Can you see that? It already has created stuff for us. All right? But all I want you to do is to type in npm start. Make sure you're in the Hello React folder. Type in npm start. It'll look like this. And in just a couple seconds, come on, it should look like this. And if it does, it worked. All right? So I'll give you a second or two to hopefully get that up and running. Okay? It was just npm start. Now, I'm going to close this right away. I don't need it up and running, but what I do want to tell you is if I go right now, notice right now it says that this is all up and running. That's fine. I'm just going to minimize this, and I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open up the folder inside of code. So I'm going to right mouse click on the folder and say open with code. Now, what I'm about to tell you is different from what we did with Node. And that is this. It's totally fine to come in here, open up a new terminal, and just run it from here. There's not a problem. All right? Now, if yours doesn't say bash right here, then yours isn't running git bash. If you want it to, you should be able to click over here and choose in the down arrow here, git bash. And if you go, it's not listed, don't worry about it. Then choose command prompt. It's not going to hurt anything. I can show you in just a bit, if you don't have it in there, how to get it in there. But notice if I come in here now and again run npm, it's right over here, npm start, the exact same thing is going to happen. Oh, except it says that it's already running. Okay, that's fine. So I got to stop this run so I can start another run. All right. So it says, would you like to run the app on another port instead? No. I'm going to run it again here. So npm start. And it should come up and it should start running right away. Well, for some reason it hasn't recognized that the other one was stopped. It's okay. All right. What I want to do anyway is to go through everything that's in here. All right. And we're going to do it from the reverse. So we're going to do it from the bottom up. First thing that's in here is a Readme file. And what you'll notice when we look in here, this is a very generic Readme file. You get this exact same Readme file for every project that you create. So if you're creating a project for other people to consume, all right, we're not going to worry about it exactly right now, but later, if you want stuff for, that other people can consume, you can go in there and make any changes you want to this file and save it. Does that make sense? All right, so that's the first thing. Close that. And now package.json. Well, hopefully you'll notice already it's a little bigger than it was before, but when you look here, boy, there's a bunch of changes here. All right? And, for instance, it's got this. This is React. It brought that in. It brought in React DOM. It brought in React scripts, which allows you to do some testing. And Web Vitals. I think that's also for some testing. You shouldn't ever have to touch this. All right? When we did the npm start, it ran this file right here. Does that make sense to everybody? And when you run that regular start file, it's running it on its development server, which is, again, on port 3000. All right? If we were to have run npm build instead of npm start, it would have actually created a build folder here. That's for production. That would be like if we were going to send something out to the equivalent of Heroku or something like that. We're not going to do that. Yeah, we just started on this. All right? And there's some other stuff. It's not really that important, the other stuff that's in here. I just wanted to hit on those things. All right, so let me close that. And then we got our package lock JSON. Hopefully you remember this from before, and what that's saying is these are, when we brought in all those dependencies, these are the versions that we're running. You should never play with this file. There should never be a reason for you to have to play with this file. All right? Next, git ignore. Well, you're going to notice right away it's bigger than what we did before. You notice it still has node modules, and it's got a bunch of other stuff in here as well. All right? Now, I do want to mention something to you. You'll notice here it says npm right now near the bottom, and then underneath it says yarn. All right? npm is the node package manager. Yarn is another package manager. You can literally use either one. We've been using npm. There's really no reason for us to start using yarn now. Not that I can see. All right, npm will be fine if we need to add something or whatever. All right. Then, before I go on, the node modules, hopefully everybody remembers that. That's all this stuff. All right, so that's all the dependencies when we first created the project. Does that all make sense? All right, before I go into source, which is the big one, let's quick look at public. All right, so public has got favicon.ico, and what's that? Remember that thing that's spinning around at the beginning? That's that. All right, and it's actually got it in different sizes. There's one of them. There's one of them. All right, so it's got basically this. I shouldn't say that. Favicon is what's up here. There, it's up there. And the logo is literally just the logo. All right? So again, other than if we got rid of those, we shouldn't have to play with that stuff at all. All right? Manifest.json, basically what it has in here is it is letting the system know the different sizes of icons that we have, etc. for the image. We shouldn't have to mess with that one either. The robots.txt file, if you don't know that, and if you don't, shame on your AWD 1000 instructor for not mentioning it. But with the robots.txt, what you can put in here is anything that you do not want a search engine like Google or Bing or whatever files on your site you don't want them to go through. They might be sites that have password information, credit card information. They might just be something that they might just be internal files that they have no reason or right to look at. So that's typically what you put in there. All right, so the big one then is this one. It's this source folder that's right here. And you'll notice there's a bunch of junk in there. All right, and it starts with app.css, then there's an app.js, an app test, then there's some index stuff. All right, well, the logo is literally just that. It's the logo. So I'm not going to talk about that one. The key ones for us to realize are app.js and index.js. All right? Now, what index.js, if you look up on the screen here, this is maybe the most important part of the whole lecture, is in index.js, it's basically kind of the starting point for the whole program. And what it's telling us in here is what we want you to render is this thing called app. When you put something in angle brackets like that, that means render what's ever in the file called app.js. So app right there is what's referred to as a component. If you say, I don't know what that is, that's what we're going to get into in just a couple minutes. All right? So app is a component. And what it's telling it to do is it's telling us to render everything that's in app right there, and it's telling us to put it here. And it's like, what the heck is that here? Well, because I went over it quickly, look under public again, and you notice under public there's an index.html file. I'm going to open that, and I'm going to get rid of all the comments because we don't need any of them. All right, it's saying that this is a template, etc. That's fine and dandy. But I'm going to get rid of everything in here that's a comment. You don't have to do this, but I'm just getting rid of it. Why? So it'll all show on one nice page. There's the whole thing. Now, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say every one of you should understand 100% of what's in there. I shouldn't have to explain a line of what's in there. All right? Don't worry about the theme color and stuff. That's really and truly not important. All right? But what's the key thing is, look, this is all the HTML that's in the file. And it says, hey, I've got an ID, a div with an ID of root. That's literally where you present everything that's on the screen, is right in there. All right? So I think you'd all agree when you look, it's a div and it's got an ID of root. Okay? So now when I go back again into my index.js file, notice what it says to find. Wow, something with an ID of root. So it's telling us to go into this app file, and any contents that are in that file, we want to, I don't know if you'd say replace, or put it what's right there. All right? And you'll notice, too, that in here, they've got the semicolons here and a semicolon there. I'm going to guess that sometimes when I do this, I'm going to put semicolons in, and sometimes I'm just going to leave them off. All right, but the only thing consistent about that is the inconsistency. But it doesn't hurt. Literally, these could have all been left off, and it would have worked just fine. All right? Now, so I said, this is app. So what's app? Well, let's look at that. So this is telling us, hey, go out and find this file that's on the system that's called logo.svg. That's that file right there. Go out and find the file that's called app.css. That's the file right there. All right? When you go and create React components, which is what this is considered to be, there are two ways of doing it. You can create what's called a functional component, and you can create what's called a class-based component. Up until about 2 years ago, almost everything, this right here, you wouldn't have seen function there. You would have seen class. But it's changed. Now, rather than doing stuff mainly all new development with class-based components, It's almost all done now with functional-based components. So that's basically what we're going to use. Okay, so it's a function. It's called app. It requires no parameters. That should make sense to everybody taking a quick look at it. And then notice we've got return, and there's the beginning paren, and there's the ending paren. So this is everything in here that we're attempting to return. All right? And this may or may not sound a little goofy, but believe it or not, there's only one thing that you can return. All right? That one thing can have a bunch of junk in it, but it's just one thing. Notice here, the one thing we put inside of a div. So we can throw anything we want in there. You could throw an entire web page in there without any kind of problems. But I couldn't come in here, for example, I've got a div here. All right, let's just say that I decided I want to put in another paragraph here. So I put in a paragraph right there. It says, this is more text. Well, you'll notice right away, it's spitting at me. It doesn't like it. It says expressions can only have one parent element. I'm attempting to give it another one. It doesn't like it. I could take that paragraph that says this is more text, and I could put it inside of this div. I could put anything in there that I wanted to put in, all right, and it would be fine, all right. But just to show you how this stuff works is I'm going to do two things here. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to come back to where I'm going to try it at least. I had the running program here. So I want to see what's up and running right now. It still thinks that I've got this running, and I don't know why it does. All right. Let's see if I can do it not from there, from here. Telling me something is already running on here. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because this is important. What we're doing right now is important.